Oh, welcome back. This is called Chapter 16 The Baby. One warm evening came a stillness, as if the whole world were holding its breath. Thunderstorm, thought Alice, as she hurried to fasten the wooden shutters over the windows before the skies opened. Just then, a party of riders rode into the inn yard. A prosperous looking man wearing too much jewelry, a stout lady in some obvious discomfort, and their attendants, a man and a woman sullen and none too bright looking. The man lifted the stout lady down, and they hurried into the inn, leaving the boy Tam to put the horses away and see them dry and fed for the night. Because they appeared important, Jeanette herself bustled over to see to their needs. Supper, sir? Cold beef and the best bread in the country? A jug of ale or some Rhenish wine? We want no food, said the prosperous looking man. How then can I serve you? In no way, madam, unless you be a priest, a magician, or a man of medicine. My wife is being devoured by a stomach worm. The woman moaned a little and then let out a great cry that nearly drowned out the thunder crashing about them. Jeanette crossed herself as the man swept platters and mugs off the big table and helped his wife lie down. Snatching a mug of warm ale from John Dark, Jeanette brought it to the wailing woman. She watched a moment and then laid her rosy hand on the woman's swollen belly. In truth, sir, I think she is about to give you a child. The man looked at Jeanette with displeasure and dislike. Get away with you, fool! My wife has been barren since the day of our marriage and breeds nothing but discontent. She has in truth grown stout of late, but that be herring pie and almond puddings. Having a child? Impossible. Jeanette watched a few minutes more. Not only possible, sir, but soon. The entire company looked then at the woman on the table, who was struggling to sit up and was pushing so hard her red face looked near to bursting. Impossible, said the man again, a little less confidently this time. What should be done? The woman let out a bellow like a bull, and John Tark hurried outside, preferring the rain to this. There is a midwife in the village some walk down that road. I will point your man the way, said Jeanette. So for a time the inn resounded with the rumble of the thunder, the cries of the laboring mother, and the useless clucking of the woman's husband. Finally, the manservant appeared, as wet as water could make him. I found the midwife's cottage where you told me, he said. The midwife was not there, and no fire is lit, and it looks like some other child is making his way into the world tonight with the midwife to assist him. This one must make its own way, his own way. All was noise and confusion as the woman pulled herself up again and commenced bellowing. Her husband gave her his ruby ring to hold. Jeanette gave her ale. The manservant gave her a black look and went outside to join John Dark in the rain. As night deepened, the woman's cries grew louder and louder. Jeanette hustled and bustled, but she knew about brewing and baking and not babies, and all her bustle could not help. Magister Reese went out and returned, went out and returned. Yes, Louise? Oh my goodness. Time to go to bed, baby. Yeah, we got to go to bed, and then in the morning we'll wake up and go to school, okay? Okay. All right, good night, honey. Oh, we can go home after school. All right, good night, baby. Magister Reese went out and returned, unable to help but reluctant to leave. Alice stood watching from a place under the stairs, unwilling to be part of the scene, for the sounds and smells were all too familiar and spoke of her failure with Emma Blunt. She was kept from leaving altogether by her sympathy and compassion, and by a certain curiosity that compelled her to know what was happening, and to what end, and what might be done to finish or hasten or ease. As the wails of the companions grew near as loud as those of the mother, Jeanette threw them all outside. The woman attendant, who shrieked more than she attended, the wailing husband, and the Magister Reese, who then stood at the shuttered window, frantically paging through his great work, looking for something to help, and every now and then calling, Jeanette, you must find the bulb of a white lily, or virgin's hair and ant eggs, or an eagle stone. Who has an eagle stone? Finally, Jeanette covered the moaning woman with her cloak, and whispering, I can do no more. This baby will not come, and slipped from the room. Lightning lit up the room, empty but for Alice under the stairs, and the woman in tears, in pain, in labor, and none to help. Alice trembled. I should, she said to herself, but I cannot. I tried before and failed. You must, said herself back to her. None so stupid, said Magister Reese. You are a nitwit, said Grommet Smith. Guts and common sense, said Will Russet. You gave up, said the midwife. Help me, cried the woman on the table. Keep still, all of you, and let me try, said Alice, coming out from behind the ladder. She got the woman to her feet and walked her around the room, stopping every now and then to pour some ale into her. Jude, to bed, buddy. Love you. Have a good night, okay?
What are you reading?
The Midwife's Apprentice.
That sounds horrible. Let's go.
It's not horrible. I love it. She rubbed and oiled and pushed. She bade the woman sit and stand, kneel and lie down. She called on all those saints known to watch over mothers, St. Margaret and St. Giles and St. Felicitas and even St. Loy, who protects horses, and St. Anthony, who does the same thing for pigs, for she believed it would do no harm. She did everything she'd seen the midwife do and even invented some of her own. And as a thunderstorm passed, the night prepared to yield to dawn. On a scarred wooden table that had seen more of the pork pies and beer than babies, Alice delivered a baby boy with the black hair of his father and the red face of his mother. Alice had no basket of clean linen and ointment and herbs, so she tore a coarse thread from the hem of the woman's dress, tied the baby's cord, and cut it with a carving knife borrowed from the kitchen. Having no cumin or sesame for sealing the cord, she spat on her hand and rubbed the cut end. Alice then opened the door. Here, sir, Alice said, handing the baby to his father. No stomach worm, but a loud and lusty boy. Mother shouted from inside, Stomach worm? Bah! In truth, I thought a dragon was eating my innards. Give the lout to me. I will teach him to give such trouble and pain to his mother. The stupefied father took the baby to his mother, who commenced scolding and berating the little fellow, all the while smoothing his black hair and caressing his little hands, until her scolding turned to cooing, and his loud cries to gurgles, and mother and child fell asleep there on the inn table. Alice saw the man and his servants staring at her in awe. Be a miracle, they whispered. We have seen barren woman give birth, stomach worm transformed to innocent babe, dragon defeated by a girl who appeared from nowhere. The man spoke to Alice. Good miss, be you an angel or a saint? Alice stared at him. An angel? I be no angel. Then it is saint you are, he cried, and all about fell to their knees in wonder. No, Alice repeated, no saint, no angel. Corpus bones, I but delivered a child. Your wife never had a stomach worm. But the man and the servants, still on their knees before her, prayed and thanked Alice for the cure of their mistress and the miracle of the baby. And while she was at it, the female servant asked for a warm cloak for winter, and that the wart should fall off her chin. Alice pushed past them and stepped out into the warm night. The moon was as round and as white as a new cheese. On a bench beneath the old oak sat John Dark and Magister Reese sharing a mug of ale. Magister Reese winked at her and smiled. Alice smiled back. And then she laughed, a true laugh that came from deep in her gut, rushed out her mouth, and rang through the clear night air. And that was the true miracle that night, the 1st of June, the month, as Magister Reese could have told her, named for Juno, the Roman goddess of the moon, of women, and of childbirth.